and welcome to the Dan and Lew Show. It's our podcast in which we delve into the underworld of weird and just plain randomness to help supplement your life with entertainment. Now, I'm Dan, and I'm joined with my partner in crime, Lew.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing today?
I'm good, thank you, Lew. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. No problem. Now, today we're going to reveal the answer to the world-ending riddle which we said on the last podcast. We'll also give you sort of a brief insight into the latest top games and much, much more. So sit back, relax, and listen to our voices in the second episode of the Dan and Lew Show. Now, Lew, what have you been up to this week?
This week, too, has been much of the same, with a few extra bits on the end. Mm-hmm. As you know, last time I spoke about going to the charity shop, fumbling around with bras, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. But I think I've managed to lay myself with an apprenticeship. Ooh. Maybe. Okay. It's kind of a dodgy one though. I've got to be careful with this upcoming week. So maybe on the next podcast, we may know if I've managed to survive. Yeah, should have to keep us updated with that one. So what is the apprenticeship for then? What is it they want you to be doing? The subject is, what they told me was business administration down the bottom of Burslem Way. Mm-hmm. It's a company to do with catering. They take refurbished things, clean them, sell them on. They said that I would be taking part in the advertising and marketing. For example, they've got an eBay store. They want me to help around with that. They want a website doing, so apparently I'll be helping in conjunction with someone else that they've got that will be making the website. So it should be a fun week this week. It's a trial week this week before I actually take it on properly. So you start this week then on the Monday? Yes, this upcoming Monday, which by the time this goes out, I don't know. What are you going to do about your charity work? Because you said on the last podcast that you do sort of voluntary work at a charity shop and they don't let you go anywhere near the till. What are you going to do with that? Well, speaking of the till, they let me use the till now on a Friday all day. Pushing the boat out? Absolutely. But I'll have to tell them that I won't be available for much longer, I'm afraid. Oh, that'll be a shame. And of course, the new addition to your family, your new puppy, your new dog. How's the puppy getting on? Fantastic. He's coming along very well, pooing and weeing in various corners of the house. But, and are your other two dogs sort of, happy with him and getting used to him and so on? Well, during his crazy 15 minutes, he likes to jump up and try and nip them in the faces, but they just push him away. He's a nobody. He's an outsider. Now this week, I've not really done a great deal. Not much variety anyway. I've been busy all the time. Just not much variety. So of course during the day I'm at work every day, working Monday to Friday. But then, of course, there was a momentous occasion this week. On Tuesday, Grand Theft Auto 5 was released. And I must admit, I've never known any game ever have so much of a hype. And we'll be coming up, I'll be talking about GTA 5 just a little bit later on, really. But so I've been at work during the day playing GTA 5 at night. Pretty much the entirety of my evening has just been spent in front of the screen, and of course I work on a computer during the day, so that saying of square eyes, it's going to happen this week. I'm sure a lot of people will suffer from that too. Absolutely. And then also, of course, on Wednesday, for all you Apple fans and all you people with iPhones and iPads, iOS 7 was released, the latest operating system for Apple. I've now got that on my phone and also on my iPad, and I remember on Wednesday there were a big sort of up in arms because people were saying it was taking upwards of 48 hours and so on to download it. It was crazy just how much demand was being put onto the Apple servers. But I think that's all sort of died down now. But yes, iOS 7 also took up whatever little time I had left. Was iOS 7 devotion. Is it worth 48 hours? Well, it only actually took me half an hour to do. Oh, wow. 10 minutes to download, and the rest will sort of install and update and so on. So I was amazed that people were having to wait so long for it. But
I don't think they did actually have to wait that long. It was sort of like an estimated time remaining that just kept getting smaller and smaller to the point where, you know, it would have only taken a few hours at the most. But I know there were quite a few people not too pleased with it, let's say. And of course, you know, the new iPhone 5S sold out pretty much. So it's a lot of waiting for people who want to buy into Apple at the moment. So that's what I've been up to.
So what are the key changes or the key add-ons to the iOS 7?
There's quite a few, to be honest. The most sort of notable one is that the look and feel of the iOS has completely changed. So it's now very flat. It's very, I guess, not as such cartoony, but very colourful, very bright. There's a lot of where before there was a black screen, now it's a white screen. So I'm not sure how that plays with battery life. I don't know, I always have my phone on maximum brightness, but with iOS 7 I've had to turn it down because it just burns your eyes. So the look and the feel of it's changed. It's, you know, just it's more of a playful operating system than before. It's less business-like. Another sort of key feature is, of course, the control center, which, you know, Apple have sort of been late to the game with getting that one because a lot of phones already have this, you know, area where you can control everything from. So, you know, it's like volume, brightness, there's a torch on there, calculator, the timer, you know, the clock. It's got the screen rotation lock on there, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. All the main things that you would ever go into the settings app for have been moved out of it and put onto this control center that you swipe up from the bottom from. There's about 200 new features, and I can't list them all, but I would definitely recommend anybody who hasn't yet downloaded iOS 7 and can do to stop holding off and to go for it, because they've already released, you know, sort of a day one patch to sort out any of the initial problems. So you've gone past the issue point, and now it's time to get iOS 7.
Yeah, because you mentioned that it's less business-like, so it kind of sounds as if more younger people are getting the phones now, so they're trying to tone it down for them. Especially now that Christmas is coming up and stuff like that. So I think that's probably what they were going for.
Exactly, and the other thing as well, of course, with the iPhone 5C for the colourful, I always say that phone, albeit being sold to the rest of the world, is designed for China, because China's such a huge market, and it may be a stereotype from what I know. China loves colour, and it loves bright technology, basically.
Yeah.
So to have an iOS that's really bright and colourful, complementing a really bright and colourful, slightly cheaper phone, the way I see it, it's designed with China in mind, just to try and open up that market there. But I think it works for the rest of the world too.
Cool. Sounds very good. Sounds very, very good.
Absolutely. Well, I think there's a game that you quite like at the moment that you've been playing.
Yes, we should talk about video games too. Obviously, the end of the year seems to be where the big things tend to happen. The big games come out, and obviously we got the next generation consoles coming out in terms of the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. But for today, I wanted to talk about Rayman Legends, which is a platformer and is the sequel to Rayman Origins, which came out a couple of years ago. And by God, if it came out at any other time, it's because it's a shame that it's come out a couple of weeks before GTA 5 has, because the game is just utterly amazing, fantastic. The graphics are incredible with hand-drawn art style as well, so it looks great with HD graphics on the television. And what the game really does best is the variety in levels. It's got 5 new worlds with like a good 7 to 10 levels in each of the worlds as well. But you can also, through the use of lucky tickets, which you can earn in the levels, you can actually unlock levels from Rayman Origins. So you've got like 50 levels from the first game in this one, which is incredible if you haven't even played the first one. But it's got to be one of the best platformers out there at the moment.
See, now, I haven't played Rayman since at least PlayStation 1, which is a long, long time ago. We're talking at least 10 years ago.
Yep.
So is it still a side scroller where he throws his hands and so on, or am I still stuck in the past and it's moved on considerably since then?
Well, since the first Rayman game, there's been a lot of 3D installments, but Rayman Origins and Legends really is a good throwback to the very first Rayman on the PlayStation. And what the game also does as well is it's got a crap load of characters that you can unlock, like skins, I guess. Mm-hmm. And what they've done is, because the game was supposed to be released in February, and it was supposed to be a Wii U exclusive, and for the past 7 months they've been porting it to the 360 and the PS3. And what they've kind of done to redeem themselves is they've released a unique skin for each system, if you know what I mean. So for the Xbox 360, you get Tom Fisher from Splinter Cell, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
You get a Mario skin for the Wii U, Mario and Luigi.
This skin goes on to Rayman himself, does it? Or is it for the world that he plays in?
Well, when you initially start up the game, you play as Rayman, right? So you go into go through a door, and then you go into like a wardrobe kind of thing, where you can see all the different skins you can play as. It's not necessarily a change to Rayman's skin. Like, you've got a character called Glowbox. You can unlock these women characters throughout the game as well. So it's not just a change to what Rayman looks like, but it's completely different characters and skins as well.
So out of 10, what would you give it?
Rayman, well, I'm still playing it. I haven't finished it yet. I'm a good 70% through it. I would give Rayman Legends so far, which would end up probably being my overall, I'd give it a good 9 out of 10.
That's quite high. And what platforms is it available on? Obviously Xbox 360. Any others?
It's for the Wii U, which is where it was originally intended for, and it's also on the PS3 as well with a Ezio skin, I think. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5, and I have to admit, it's probably one of the best games I have ever played.
Oh, that's a steep statement, dude.
That is a very steep statement. Steep statement of the year. It really is phenomenal. The level of detail that Rockstar North have gone into is ridiculous. If it starts raining, for example, you can just stand there and watch puddles form slowly. The water effects is what's interesting, because water and fire are the two main things in a game's graphic system that are the hardest things to pull off, because they're just so difficult to actually do. Fire looks great, really, really does. It doesn't spread, of course, but where there's fire, there is, a good fire, and the fire brigade come out with the fire engines, they extinguish it with the fire extinguishers. It all looks really good. Water-wise, there's a lake and there's the sea. Waves look great. They foam with white foam on the crests and so on. The only downside I see with the water, and it's always something, a bit of a stickler for me, is where the waves enter the shore, it never looks realistic. It never looks like the water is actually going up onto the sand and then coming back off it again. But hopefully at some point in the future, maybe with, the Xbox One or the PS4, some developers will crack that and really get some, proper water physics when it comes to waves hitting the shore. But just the level of detail. So say, for example, you're wearing, anything really, and you go into some water. You'll come out of it dripping wet, you'll leave behind water as you walk, and your suit, or whatever clothes you're wearing, visibly looks wet, so like it's a darker shade of whatever colour it was, and it slowly starts to dry when you go into the sun. And it's just little things like that that really don't matter, but that make the game complete. Of course, the gameplay is fantastic. It's got the 3 protagonists that you play as. Movement between the 3 of them is really, really sleek. It's just a really, really good game. And because you install at least on the Xbox 360, you install most of the game to the hard drive and play off a play disc, because it comes with 2 separate discs, an install and a play disc. It means there's very little loading. And the only loading that I can see that does exist, that does get on my nerves a little bit, is there's about, I don't know, it's 1.5 second load to get onto the start menu. And that's a little bit annoying, because you know, when you're used to pressing the start button and the start menu just appearing. But you have to wait. It's only a small, wait, but it's really noticeable.
Yeah.
And it does get a little bit annoying. But aside from that, it is an absolutely superb game. I would, quite easily rate it 10 out of 10. I really, really would.
Oh, you're going to give it maximum marks?
I'm going to give it maximum marks, absolutely. Best game, released so far, in my opinion.
That's very, very good too. I wish I could get my hands on a copy of that so I can go out and kill people, rob taxis, etc.
So long as you grab a copy before, I think it's October the 11th. I think that's the date. Don't quote me on it. That's when the GTA Online comes live. So as long as you've got a copy before then, so we can have some, Grand Theft Auto shenanigans, that'll be fine.
Hopefully.
On the last podcast, I gave you and the listeners a riddle, and that riddle was, what is as big as an elephant but weighs nothing at all? And you've had a little bit of time to let that sink in and try and think of an answer. So what, Lou, is as big as an elephant but weighs nothing at all?
I've been thinking long and hard.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I'm on the toilet,
mm-hmm.
I always think about what that answer could be, and I think I've cracked it. Mm-hmm. I think I have your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Don't think. You've got to be ready.
I'm ready. I am ready. I'm sitting down. I'm ready.
My answer is a hot air balloon.
That is a good answer. It's wrong, but that is a very, very good answer. The actual answer is a shadow. The shadow of an elephant is as big as an elephant, but it doesn't weigh anything at all.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
It's not hot air balloon.
It's not a hot air balloon.
Ah, okay. Well, do. I think I'll come at you with another. One of my riddles for you to go away and work out.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
The more you take, the more you leave behind. What are they?
Ooh, it's a tricky one, isn't it? You have to leave that one with me.
Yes.
I'm thinking, at the moment, the first thing that comes into my mind is, footsteps, but I don't think that's right, because you don't take footsteps.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yes, I guess. A very interesting answer.
Thank you very much. And obviously, I'm sure you'll be able to tell me the answer to that on the next podcast.
Oh, I will definitely tell you the answer, if not has been said already. Let's move on, do.
Absolutely. Okay, so each week there's hundreds and hundreds of weird stories that take place, across the world. And I sent you on a mission to go and find the weirdest story, you could find. And what have you come back with, Lou?
The last time I came up with the man who got fined for drinking a human toe.
You did.
And I don't think I've quite topped it, but this is a very, very strange story indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, a cat has been abducted, shaved, and has a swastika drawn on its back in a bizarre attack. Oh yes. The cat's name is Turbo. It's 1 year old from New Zealand, and its owners, Jessie and James McGriffin, were watching TV when Turbo jumped on her lap. She started to pet him and realised that the infamous Nazi symbol was engraved on its back, and what she also found out is that its whiskers were also missing as well. It seems quite a bit of cruelty involved, but yes, a Nazi swastika-infused cat. What do we think about this?
Whereabouts do we know did this take place? Was it in the UK or?
It was Christchurch, New Zealand.
Oh right, so all the way across an earthquake-stricken New Zealand, Christchurch. That's an interesting bit of an attack, I suppose. A little bit like graffiti, I suppose, on the back of a cat.
Yeah, instead of a skate park wall, it's a feline.
But to cut off the whiskers as well, but that's really strange. Like you say, there is an element of cruelty in there, so we shall see where that one pans out. Now, on the last podcast, I sort of told everybody about some first world problems in relation to third world problems. And there were some funny ones in there, very interesting, but I think I've beaten that one this week.
Oh, yes?
I really do. A 61-year-old man from Texas has arrived at a hospital 5 times over the legal driving limit, complaining of dizziness. Doctors are, of course, a little bit baffled with this, but later realised that he was suffering from an illness called Brewery syndrome. Now, that's a rare yeast infection in the stomach of it's where it lives, and it produces alcohol without even drinking, any alcohol for it.
Oh, wow.
It's just if you have plenty of bread and pasta, things that have got yeast in there, if you feed it with that, it'll produce alcohol for you. So essentially, you're producing your own beer in your own stomach. And of course, there's all sorts of problems with that because it comes and it goes, so you can just be sitting there. I think his wife, this man's wife, even went out with a breathalyzer once because she thought that he was a secret alcoholic. He'd just be sitting there at the church and all of a sudden he'd start slurring his words and swaying and all sorts of things like that. But yeah, basically this man is a walking beer brewery. He's got a very realistic name for a beer valley. But yes, a man capable of producing alcohol after eating a sandwich. I love that one.
Well, saves him a bit of money because he doesn't have to go to the pub and get a drink or anything when he's got it right there in his stomach.
Exactly, just some pasta and sauce and he's done. Now, this is the part of our show, really, where I like to divulge to the rest of the world the definition of a very special word. Last podcast, I told the world the definition to smegma, which was a cheese-like sebaceous secretion, especially found in a man's foreskin, which was great, really. But this week, I think you'll particularly enjoy my word. Well, this episode's word is scrotum. And taken from Google, a scrotum is a bag of skin containing testicles. And as with most words, scrotum can be used in a variety of social applications. For example, one day I was walking home from school when I realised I was holding my scrotum. And also, did you know your scrotum is hanging out? So there we have it, scrotum, a bag of skin containing testicles.
Scrotum.
Scrotum. Write that one down and save it for later.
I will. I will engrave it in my wrist, just so I can use it in social situations.
Absolutely. It's the best word ever, scrotum.
Scrotum.
Bag of skin containing testicles.
Testes.
I think that just about wraps up our second podcast.
Is that it? I was enjoying myself there.
I know. It's just amazing how fast time flies, isn't it? Thank you very much to everybody for indulging in our podcast for the second time. If this is, that you've listened to the first podcast, and if this is your first podcast that you've heard from us, well, take a listen to the first one if you enjoyed this one.
Yeah, well, obviously the audio's a lot better in this one with this new headset and such, so...
People will notice, and of course you can find us on the Facebook page, the official Dan and Lew Facebook page, where we'll keep you all up to date with any of our latest adventures and new podcasts and so on. Remind us again what that riddle was, Lew.
The more you take, the more you leave behind. What are they?
Oh, it's an intriguing one. Make sure to stay tuned, people, and thank you very much for listening.
Goodbye.